Now, Lowcountry Forever, a public affairs presentation of the Charleston Radio Group.
It happened in Charleston 200 years ago this month. It's something you probably should have learned about more in history class, but maybe didn't. That's one of the many reasons the Gaillard Center is bringing the event front and center for all to see, hear, and find out about. That's why it's our subject today on Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary, joined by the producer-in-residence at the Gaillard Center, Tony Clarke, and also Sterling DeVries, who is the education director at the Gaillard Center. First of all, thank you both for your time. Tony, you're joining us today from where?
I'm sitting in my studio in Atlanta, Georgia.
And commuting to Charleston because coming up July 14th through the 16th, it's the Denmark Vesey Bincentenary. 200 years ago in 1822, a slave rebellion that you may not have heard about happened right here in Charleston. Most folks in history learn about John Brown, the abolitionist, who led in what is now present-day Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, a slave uprising right before the start of the Civil War in 1859. This rebellion happened right here in our backyard, which is why the Gaillard Center is bringing it front and center with their celebration of the Denmark Vesey Bicentenary. Now, Tony, we've got 3 separate huge nightly events happening at the Gaillard Center. Set us up. Tell us about, let's start with the first one, which would be a sort of a panel discussion. Truth Be Told, Vesey. What is that going to be all about?
Well, the Truth Be Told, Vesey is just a narration and a beginning conversation about Denmark Vesey and bringing that into our modern day issues and solutions to better race relations and education here in these great United States. That panel will consist of 2 great Charlestonians, Lee Bennett and Dr. Bernard Powers. They will give an overview from their perspective of who Denmark Vesey was, both as a freedom fighter and also as a worshiper at the Mother Emanuel AME Church. On that panel, we will also have Charlemagne the God, Dr. Tanya Matthews from the International African American Museum, and some celebrities. One would be W. Kamau Bell of CNN. He's CNN famous. He's done a number of books, even going as far as being embedded with the Ku Klux Klan to discuss their reasonings behind some of their actions and some of their thoughts. We have a local celebrity who's now gone on to bigger things, Charlemagne the God. He's from Moncks Corner, which I don't think that's a widely known thing, but he can give a perspective also regarding life in the Lowcountry as a young tyke growing up. That panel is composed of some of our great minds to talk about the past, the present, and the future, and creating a level of racial harmony. Because over time, you find that racism is just a level of not completely understanding what your neighbor's life is all about. And we want to give homage to Denmark Vesey and his plight to free slaves, and also inform everyone locally about such a person, because I'm not quite sure that locally everyone knows about Denmark Vesey.
And Tony, you used the phrase racial harmony. Somebody may look at that and go, oh, this is an event for black people, or it's not for white people. But you seem to be saying, no. This is an event for everyone.
Well, it's an event for everyone because racial harmony is something that everyone has to have, and racial harmony equals peace. We've basically spent the last 2 years fighting against an unknown, unseen enemy, and we can't come out of that by fighting each other. We all needed each other to survive the pandemic. We still need each other to survive going forward. You can't do that if you have a dislike or an ignorance about your neighbor. Differences are meant to be settled. Differences are meant to be explained. I don't, for instance, like mustard greens, but I like collards.
I don't know if I can talk to you anymore then, which is, again, that's you're still a good guy, even though you don't like that.
That conversation of just a simple, well, why not? What's the deal? So maybe we can get together. Maybe we get together and go grab some mustard greens.
I'm in. Now, Sterling, you oversee education at the Gaillard Center, and I think a lot of people who may go to the center for a concert, for a theater performance, they don't realize the important element and how big of an element that education is at the Gaillard Center.
Yes, when the Gaillard Center reopened in 2015, we reopened as a nonprofit, and we are here to serve the community of Charleston. A huge part of our mission is education, what we can bring the community, what we can bring the students, and how we can just leave the community a better place and do whatever we can to educate and ignite and enthuse all of the members of the Lowcountry.
And so that is part of what's going on here. We're talking July 14th through the 16th. It's the Denmark Vesey Bincentenary that's happening at the Gaillard Center. Now, the panel is the first night, Tony. The second night, you're bringing in a Grammy Award winner to perform at the Gaillard.
We're bringing in Grammy Award winner Anthony Hamilton. I mean, we found in the committee that there could be no one greater to bring a community together than a hardworking young man from the Carolinas. His music, it's indicative of some of the songs from the 60s, the 70s, and 80s with the soul twist. And we think that his overall message is one that everybody, all people, could really listen to. And music is a healer. Music is, everyone taps their feet, no matter what it is. It could be country, R&B, jazz, blues, and even hip hop. People tap their feet. So we want Charlestonians to come out, tap their feet, be a part of our celebration with Anthony Hamilton. It's also my birthday, so it's going to be a grand party. It's going to be a grand party. You know, Denmark Vesey is bringing us all together on my birthday.
Very nice, and I'm sure Anthony will be singing you an amazing rendition of "Happy Birthday, Tony."
That's what I'm thinking. And I want it to be a round, him to do a round with about 2,000 people inside the Gaillard Performing Arts Center. Because, believe it or not, it is one of the most incredible venues to witness, to actually be a part of a vocal performance. It's mesmerizing. If I could sing, I'd love to sing there.
Yeah, really. If somebody hasn't been somehow at the new Gaillard Center, of course, it's a couple of years old, but the acoustics, the seating, I mean, it's just such a wonderful facility. But as a performer, and I know you are yourself, Tony, just the acoustics, the sound in there is really amazing.
Yeah, each time when I go to the Gaillard for a performance, I'm like a child. I sit there and I say, if I would have had 7 more years of college, I could have performed on that stage too.
And as we talk about education, Sterling, certainly your area of expertise, the Denmark Vesey Bincentenary has educational aspects to it. Why don't you share some of those, what they'll be for a day or even over the whole weekend?
Well, actually, for all 3 days of the event, we will have Turning Page Bookstore on site. They have a pop-up bookstore that people can come in, patrons can come shop some of the books of our guests over the weekend, as well as a lot of history books that can encourage more learning when it comes to Denmark Vesey. We will have an education corner room where we will host Damon Fordham. Damon Fordham has an extraordinary gift of storytelling, and he will break down the story of Denmark Vesey for our younger ones in the hopes that they will leave understanding a little more about this freedom fighter. We've also created a lesson plan document for parents just as a grab and go. They can take home something that they can use to encourage more talking about Denmark Vesey. And lastly, we are going to integrate the art. So the kids are going to create a quilt square. The quilt squares will have various figures from the past that will help tell stories. But the method behind the quilts is to leave one and take one. And we want community members to leave a piece of themselves behind with us, but then take one with them so that they can take that piece and educate someone else on what they've learned. And then we'll put them together into one giant quilt.
We're talking today on Lowcountry Forever about the upcoming Denmark Vesey Bincentenary. This is July 14th through the 16th at the Charleston Gaillard Center. The producer in residence from the Gaillard Center, Tony Clarke, has joined us, as is Sterling DeVries, who is the Director of Education at the Gaillard Center. So, Tony, let's turn our attention now to Saturday. It starts with a free show, the Orchestrating Freedom Concert. What can you tell me about that?
Well, the Orchestrating Freedom Concert it's going to be a dynamic. It's with the Charleston Symphony Orchestra, directed by Kellen Gray, who's prepared a period piece that will be performed along with the Lowcountry Voices, and there'll be a narration by O.C. Chandler. Now, that is going to be indoors. Outdoors, we're going to have a second line march from Mother Emanuel Church up Calhoun to the Gaillard, with a group called Partly Cloudy, and they're going to do an outdoor performance. Then we're going to process inside the performance hall. If you can imagine, if you can close your eyes and envision kind of a secondhand line of brass band walking into the venue, it's going to be astounding. I can't wait to see that happen. So with that, the performance is going to be 1 hour. And while that performance is going on, Sterling's group over in the annex will still be operating their children's section, which is going to be fun because I'm going to go over and make some of those quilt squares also. The program itself will be indoors and outdoors. We've got food trucks. We've got a couple of libation stations, if I could call it that.
Nice.
Things for everybody will be offered during that time, during the outdoor event.
And then, Tony, we're going to end the night, and in the 3-day festival, we'll upload it with a little comedy.
We are going to laugh about it. We are going to enter laughter into our conversation with D.L. Hughley, who will bring the Denmark Vesey Bicentenary finale. DL recently, he had his own show, which they're going to reboot, I think, the Hughleys. And he himself is kind of a political satirist who allows you to laugh at yourself. And I think that in our time, we just don't laugh enough about ourselves. We are very serious. And laughter is a way that we can educate each other on certain things. Like, I know that there are certain colors that I shouldn't wear, but I laugh at it when I put it on because I know that me and like a fluorescent lilac is just not something I would want to wear on King Street. But someone could laugh at it with me and I can make fun of myself. And again, that is, if we're able to laugh at ourselves, we're able to learn a lot more. And we expect DL to point out a bunch of things about race, understanding ourselves that we can learn from.
And Sterling, it's summertime. Maybe people aren't thinking about education, but summertime, and this event will be part of it, but it's a huge time for education in the Gaillard Center. You guys are out in the community doing a lot.
Not only are we excited to celebrate this commemoration of Denmark Vesey, but we also have our summer camps going on site, also at Pure Theater. We have our artists and residents emeritus coming to town for our jazz camp in August. So the education continues throughout the summer. And
if someone is interested in finding out more about the educational aspects, because you even through the Gaillard Center reach out to teachers, so it's something for parents, it's something for teachers, really something for the entire community. What's the steps folks want to take?
The easiest step would be to go to our website, www.gaillardcenter.org.
And Tony, as we look at the events that are part of this celebration, ticket prices are pretty amazing in that it's affordable for everybody, and we need folks to start buying some tickets now.
We need folks to buy some tickets. Tickets start at $35, the price of 3 days of Starbucks coffee.
Right.
You can come and be a part of it. We have, wonderful parking facilities next to both the Gaillard, and also we'll have parking over at the aquarium. So there is no excuse not to come and participate in this weekend of fun, education, and laughter.
It's an amazing lineup that you guys have put together. People got to be a part of it. GaillardCenter.org. Go ahead now and get your tickets. Tony, a final word about what you think and what you hope that the weekend is going to accomplish as we look to bring together and, as you said, racial harmony.
I think the goal for the weekend is to look toward a new weekend, a weekend that we can each year from this year moving forward, we can have a Denmark Vesey festival that allows us to explore ourselves as a people, to begin to create more education of slavery and how we've gotten beyond slavery and how we've gotten here, to talk about some of the freedom fighters that were basically unknown. My goal as a producer is to expect to look out in the crowd and have no seat unfilled. And overall is at the end of the program to finally go to sleep.
It's all about learning for you, Sterling. And for the learning at the Gaillard Center, this is good for folks of all ages.
Oh, absolutely. We have something ready for kids. Actually, this has no age limit on it. It is open to everyone. Everyone will be able to have a fun experience, but truly a memorable and educational one.
It's July 14th through July 16th at the Gaillard Center. Tickets for the Denmark Vesey Bicentenary are available now. Don't miss out. Get yours today. Go to GaillardCenter.org. The Charleston Gaillard Center featured today on Lowcountry Forever.
It's time for Lovello. Come out for a big block party at Isle of Palms November 5th, and you can choose how you want to participate in one of 4 scenic cycling routes, stationary classes, virtually, or as a volunteer. Regardless, you won't want to miss the party and the entertainment. Best of all, we'll be celebrating our cancer survivors and the researchers trying to end cancer. This annual event raises money for the innovative and life-saving cancer research at MUSC Hollings Cancer Center. Visit lowvello.org to register and help us cure cancer together.
The Charleston Radio Group is the Lowcountry. Every week, we highlight local organizations and events that are helping to make a difference here where we live. If you have a group, event, or an idea to feature on Lowcountry Forever, let us know. Visit lowcountryforever.com and click on our podcast link for contact information. Now, Lowcountry Forever continues.
We're talking fishing today. Well, as a matter of sorts, as part of Lowcountry Forever, it's fishing and one that helps the MUSC Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital. I'm Brian Cleary, and today on Lowcountry Forever, we're joined by Alan Richey. Alan is the chairperson of the Hooked on Miracles Committee. Alan, some people may go, Hooked on Miracles, what's that all about? So why don't you explain what the Hooked on Miracles program is?
Hooked on Miracles King Mackerel Tournament is a fishing tournament that the proceeds go to MUSC Shawn Jenkins Hospital. So we basically put on a fishing tournament, and the proceeds that we have left over are donated to MUSC Children's Hospital.
And so that fishing tournament is just around the corner now, right?
Yeah, the registration and captain's meeting is on July 14th. The registration starts at 5 p.m. The captain's meeting, which we go over the rules and have some food and some drinks for people during the captain's meeting, that starts around 6:30 on Thursday the 14th. And then our tournament day is July 16th from 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the weigh-in is at Ripley Light Yacht Club, 95 Ripley Point Drive, West Ashley.
And for someone listening right now, how would they get involved in the event?
Registration deadline is that Thursday during the registration. Last year, we kept the registration open on through Friday, and we had some people register late. So we'll probably keep it open Friday again. You can go to the website, hookedonmiracleskmt.com. And the KMT stands for King Mackerel Tournament.
Now, how did you get involved in the Hooked on Miracles tournament yourself?
Years ago, I was on the committee for a very popular tournament that was around for 25 years in Charleston, which is Fishing for Miracles. And Fishing for Miracles did a wonderful job for the Children's Hospital. We were partnered with the CCA, the Coastal Conservation Association. And they kind of got away from the tournament. We just kind of let that tournament go with them. And we started the Hooked on Miracles KMT, King Mackerel Tournament.
And when you say years ago, you guys have been doing this, the tournament and now the Hooked on Miracles, for a while. And you've contributed a pretty large sum of money to the MUSC Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital.
Yes, we have. The first year we did it for Hooked on Miracles, which was 4 years ago now. The first year we donated $30,000 to MUSC. The next year we donated $80,000 to MUSC, and we sponsored a therapy dog for the Children's Hospital.
And I want to hear about that, but how about a fish story first? Because I know my abilities fishing. Let's say I enter the tournament and I come up with a 9-inch carp. I guess that's not going to win me any prizes, right?
So this is a king mackerel tournament. So that's the only kind of fish that we weigh in is a king mackerel.
Now, you had told me when we were talking before the interview off air that you had caught a 53-pound king mackerel, which sounds huge to me, but in these kind of tournaments, you never know. So how big is a 53-pound fish in terms of this tourney?
A 53-pound king, it would probably most likely win any tournament in the South Carolina. So that's a pretty good size one.
So the other part of the story on something like this is always how big it is. Now, how long did it take you from when you hooked to actually have that king mackerel in the boat?
Wow. That's a good one. It normally takes between 20 and 30 minutes to catch a fish that big.
It's not for the faint of heart, because I think the stereotypical thing is some guy sitting on the bank of a river, about 40 pounds overweight, that's got 2 cases of beer next to him. Man, when you're fishing, you got to be ready when you're out there on the water.
That's correct. Most king mackerel fishermen will leave and we'll go catch live bait the morning of the tournament. We normally run anywhere from 3 to 30 to 40 miles offshore, and we usually fish live bottoms. That's just how most of the tournaments or the fishermen fish this tournament. A lot of people fish at the jetties. A lot of people go on out to 150 feet. So it's just wherever you want to fish and wherever you think the big one might be.
Finding the big one. What's what it's all about. We're talking about the Hooked on Miracles fishing tournament. It's coming up here in the Lowcountry. And I'm Brian Cleary, joined today on Lowcountry Forever by the chairman of the Hooked on Miracles committee, Alan Richey. Now, Alan, you referenced the fact that because of the tournament, you were able to participate in the Paw Program with the MUSC Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital. So you were able to get a dog for the hospital. There's so much more, because when you say a dog to the hospital, these are important animals. Talk a little bit about that, what you know in terms of the Paw Program and how important it is that you're able to do that.
Well, the Paw Program, the therapy dog that I have met is named Agnes, and she is a wonderful dog, and she works on the 10th floor of Shawn Jenkins Hospital. She does do some other visits. I was lucky enough to meet her last week when my granddaughter was born, and I asked her to go see my granddaughter and my daughter, and it was wonderful to see Agnes in action.
That is kind of special because a lot of people probably have seen there's a TV commercial on where the dog comes in and visits the child instead of that day her going through her cancer treatment. And that really is that special thing for a kid who somebody's going through a trauma or a tough procedure or something. Dogs just make everything better.
Exactly.
Now, when you guys were saying, okay, we're going to do this tournament, we're going to take the money and we're going to give it to the hospital, was that something that you were asked about to do that program, or is that something that you guys thought, look, this is how we want to help?
Well, Brian, we wanted the proceeds to go to something specific at the Children's Hospital, and we wanted to try to bring some joy in these patients and the employees and the families' lives that are going through a very difficult time. And we all agreed that a therapy dog would put a smile on a bunch of faces. Many of the committee members have golden retrievers, and we're all dog people and animal lovers. It was just a win-win. The committee 100% voted hands down to do a therapy dog, and we hope to do one every year for every floor of the hospital.
Wow, it's a great goal. Now, I'm a cat person. That doesn't disqualify from the tournament, right?
No, doesn't disqualify you at all.
So we're looking forward to the tournament coming up. We're talking with Alan Richey today, the chair of the Hooked on Miracles Committee. Hooked on Miracles is an organization. It's a fishing tournament that gives back to the Lowcountry here through the MUSC Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital. Now, Alan, in addition to the tournament itself, there's opportunities that you have and the folks involved with the tournament have made available where you take some of the MUSC patients out on the water and let them fish. That's a great experience. It has to be for the kids, but for the captains too.
Yeah, it is. We have the captains meeting on Thursday because we wanted a really fun family atmosphere. The whole family's invited, not just the fishermen. We have lady angler prizes. We have kid prizes. On Friday morning, the medical university helps us arrange families that they have helped in the past. And the owner of Key West Boats donates his boat, and we take a group of kids and their families or one of their guardians fishing offshore. And it is one of the funnest things I've ever done in my life, is taking those kids out there and letting them catch some fish.
It is just something special to be around those kids, because you and I as adults, we complain about traffic on 26 or, whatever it is. And you get to meet these kids who are either going through cancer or something really tough, and they really give you a different perspective on life when they can be happy, even though they got chemo in 2 days, because they get to go fishing with you.
Exactly right. It brings joy to the fishermen that are out there that get to take these kids that don't really get to experience going offshore very often. And it's heartwarming to see them reel a fish in. Everybody loves to catch a fish, and the smiles on their faces are great to see.
Now, you've got some amazing people who work with you. You, of course, are the chairperson for the committee, but the Hooked on Miracles tournament itself doesn't just happen. Can you tell us about some of the sponsors, the businesses, and people who are helping putting the tournament on?
Well, our tournament main sponsor is Key West Boats. They have been the best title sponsor anyone could ever ask for. We also have Freeman Boats that step in, and they come in at a platinum level. We have Sunbelt Rentals that donates the air condition for the tent. We have the tent where the captain's meeting is and the weigh-in. All of that's air conditioned because it's pretty hot this time of year. And Vertical Bridge is a cell phone tower company, and they're in as a sponsor as well. And there are about 30 other sponsors that cash donation. We have a tremendous amount of people that MUSC has touched their lives in the past, and they're willing to help us put on this tournament because it goes to such a good cause.
And it's interesting when you say MUSC has touched, because it's almost like the 5 or 6 degrees or something. If you yourself haven't been treated at the Children's Hospital, you either know someone who works there, or it seems, or somebody you work with, or somebody in your neighborhood. In some way, we all have a connection to the hospital, it seems.
Exactly right. The president of the university spoke at the captain's meeting a couple of years ago, and he literally said, I will bet everyone in the crowd either knows someone or they have been helped by MUSC Children's Hospital. We have such a wonderful, top-rated Children's Hospital.
Yeah, it is amazing. A world-class facility that's right here in Charleston. So we're going to get out, get everybody fishing. So I am not the best fisher person in the world. I can be honest about that. You, Alan, you've hooked some big ones. So if I'm going out for some king mackerel there, give me a tip or two that would help me reel in the big one.
Well, the tip or two is, first of all, you have to go. So you're not going to catch them sitting at the desk. Second of all, you usually catch live bait and go to a live bottom, and we slow troll for the king mackerel. And we've seen small boats that are 17 feet long win, and we've seen 40-foot boats win also. So it doesn't matter what size boat you're in. You can go on Hooked on Miracles, KMT.com. You can go on the website. You can register. You can sponsor. First place, the grand prize, is $25,000, and that's based on 125 boats, which we had more than that last year. We paid out a tremendous amount of money. So, Brian, when we say we're putting on this wonderful fishing tournament, all of the money that the anglers put into this tournament are paid back to the tournament winners. And then all of the money left over from the sponsors is donated to MUSC Children's Hospital. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's a win-win for the fishermen. It's a win-win for MUSC Children's Hospital.
So people understand, too. So you're talking about, other than the monies that go to the winners and things, you're putting 100% of that money back to the MUSC Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital.
Exactly.
That's awesome. It's amazing. And for people who may not fish, and having been at some myself, the weigh-in is really an interesting thing to be a part of. It can be both entertaining and interesting, but even just to go to a weigh-in at a tournament like this, you experience something special.
The weigh-in is Saturday afternoon. The scales open at 2 p.m. and close at 5. So anytime anyone wanted to come down to the Ripley Yacht Club, they could come down and check it out. Some really interesting boats come into the marina, drop their fish off. They bring it up to the scales, and they weigh it in, and it's announced who caught it and how big it is. It's a fun, competitive, good family environment. We love to have public down there. It's really a fun time.
And you'll see some pretty amazing fish. If you're somebody who only goes and sees fish when you're at the Harris Teeter, the Publix, this is real stuff, and it's interesting to check out. So we want to try to get some people here in the last week before to get signed up and register for the tournament. So again, Alan, for somebody who's looking for information, they just need to go to that website, which is?
Hooked on Miracles, KMT.com. And KMT stands for King Mackerel Tournament. If you log into that, right on our front page, you see a very nice head of a king mackerel, and he's getting ready to get weighed in. And we'd love for people to come fish. It's really a good cause.
And if there's someone who'd like to help out at the tournament, but they just don't go fishing, are there other ways that someone can assist the tournament?
Yeah, if you go to our website, sponsor can go into sponsor and look into our sponsor packages. And then you can just go to our website and donate. You can donate $5 if you want, which we do appreciate. Or you can go in and volunteer. And there's volunteer sign up there. We need volunteers on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because there is a fun cleanup on Sunday after the tournament.
He is the chairman of the Hooked on Miracles Committee. They're the folks putting together the tournament coming up later this week, starting on Thursday. The Hooked on Miracles Tournament to benefit the MUSC Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital, a tournament you want to be a part of. Alan Richey is our guest today on Lowcountry Forever.
Thanks for listening to Lowcountry Forever. If you missed any of this week's show, there's a complete recording under the podcast link at lowcountryforever.com. Lowcountry Forever is a public affairs presentation of the Charleston Radio Group.